Yes, and welcome back to the Ash Williams Show. My name is Ash Williams, and I am fired up. How the fuck are you? Come on. Give it to me, baby. Give it to me, baby. Absolutely. On the guitar today, it's Cassandra from Wayne's World. Yeah, with a snake around her neck. Wow. Golly gosh. The snake's loving it. And the question, as always, who is on the keyboard? 0406 284 954. What an introduction. Whew, I was feeling that. Let's start with a simultaneous sip. Let's get your beverage of choice in 3, 2, 1sies. Oh, yeah. All right. Now, I'm very excited because I've got a brand new cord for the podcasting equipment, because previously, every now and then, you would hear some static, like, but I can't hear any static, and I'm beating the shit out of this mic. So, shout out to the guys I bought this off. Shout out. I have no idea what their name is, but they're good. They are the best cords in the business. Now, let's cover off some stuff from last week. We've got to do a quick episode, by the way, because got some things on today. Boom. We spoke to Sherry last week about her 50th birthday. Now, we've got to stay ahead of that one. Whatever happens, friends, I am going on that cruise. I don't care if Sherry bans me as a Facebook friend. I'm not missing her 50th. Okay, so let's stay abreast of Sherry's 50th. Speaking of staying abreast, it would be remiss of us not to cover off Marilyn Monroe. Of course, we're talking about Marilyn Monroe on the tram, whose breasts were the first I ever saw apart from my mum's. And you know what I'm going to throw in there? My babysitters. I just had a memory that I saw my babysitters when I was about 7. Wowies. Completely forgot about that. Shout out to Teresa. Shout out. That's a shout out to you, Teresa. Hope you're well. Hope you're really, really, really well. Now back to Marilyn. We're trying to find her, okay? Last time I saw her was on a tram in Camberwell, and we've been sent to a Reddit link by our listener, Tony Simmons. We read some posts last week. This Reddit link is 8 years old. Now, it's already a bad sign if we're on Reddit, but it's the only lead we have to go on. Kind of like a 60 Minutes reporter. They'll chase anything. And I found a post here on Reddit that might bring this full circle, okay? This is from Jodes1. Can I correct some of these outrageous comments? Her name is Deanne O'Connell. She is not and never has been a hooker, a sex-changed male, walked into shops with young guys, or anything else. She indeed used to sing at weddings and business lunches as a Marilyn impersonator in Melbourne. She also charges for photos. It is and was her living to be a Marilyn lookalike, so having an iPhone rammed in her face wouldn't be welcome. She spent the 1990s, when she was in her 30s, in Camberwell, Melbourne, and was often seen walking with her elderly mother that she lived with. Her mother passed away, sadly, and that's when I understand she inherited quite an expensive property in Melbourne. She was then often seen at the Hungry Jack's in Burke Road. I'm just going to stop the post there. That's a very incongruous combo. Inheriting a lot of money and then all of a sudden going to Hungry Jack's a lot. Back to the post. She then moved to Sydney to look for singing work before returning to Melbourne in the early 2000s. She then disappeared from Melbourne completely and reappeared in Brisbane in the mid-2000s. She was very, very glamorous in the 1990s. I saw her and spoke to her, and she was really very, very attractive. At that stage, I should have booked her for a business function as a Marilyn impersonator. She travelled the trams a lot to other shops like Malvern District and Malvern Central, and she didn't like cars. She also wore quite revealing attire then, but she said that it was just skin and she had a lot of guts. She was also on a few TV shows in the audience, like Hey Hey It's Saturday. She is a singer and entertainer, albeit maybe retired, but she is not a hooker. Well. What a bloody good Reddit post that is. I feel like I've just read the book of This Is Your Life, written by Mike Monroe. What a fucking fascinating story. I'd love to try and find out where she is. We still have no track of her in the last 8 years. But shout out to Marilyn.
Shout out.
We're getting it going today with the shout outs. I'm fired up. Fire up. She was very glamorous. Now, interesting, she was in the audience of Hey Hey It's Saturday. I got an email from a friend of mine who I had no idea was on Red Faces. And if she answers this call, we'll talk to her about her experience.
Hello?
Mate, can you talk for like 2 minutes?
Yeah, I can talk.
Okay.
I've just got a soother in my mouth.
A soother.
Mm.
Very professional. Keep the soother in. I want to talk to you about Hey Hey It's Saturday. You sent me through your Red Faces audition during the week. No, sorry, not audition, your Red Faces performance. But what I want to know is, what is Hey Hey and Red Faces like behind the scenes?
Right, we're going back to 1988.
Do you have any memories, or is this a pointless phone call?
No, I've got memories.
Go on.
Oh, you're asking me now?
Yeah, go on now, mate. This is your performance. This is your Red Faces performance, and I'm Red.
Okay.
As you tell this story, I've got the baton and I'm gently caressing the gong.
You're gone.
You know when Red would always before he did the gong, he'd always rub it in a circular motion?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, go on. No pressure on the story. Come on.
It was 1988, February 1988, actually. And I wanted to be on TV. I always wanted to be on TV.
Mm.
So I used to be a big fan of Hey Hey It's Saturday. Were you?
Hey, mate, can we please get to the bones of the story?
Oh, yes, sorry.
Jesus.
Sorry. Trying to recall. It was 1988.
We don't need the life story. Let's keep it to Red Faces. What happened that day?
Okay. So clearly you've watched it. I went on and I remember I had a spaceship and they left me behind that spaceship for so long. I was just sitting behind a spaceship for just a really long time while they bantered on.
Because they were talking to Kamal for ages. We're going to play the clip. They talk to Kamal. They do all of their Kamal jokes. And then
Rebecca Gibney, they talked to.
Yes.
I did my thing, did my deal.
Mm.
And they pulled me at side stage and they said to me basically, you know, you've won this. So I was standing side stage and I was so excited because first prize was $1,000.
Fuck. Back then too.
Huge amount of money.
What is that? It's probably the equivalent of $3,000 now.
It's a car.
It's equivalent of a car?
Of course it's a car. When in 1988 you could get a car for $1,000.
Fuck. A brand new car?
No, not brand new.
Okay. Well, you can still get not brand new cars for $1,000.
Well, I had a Kingswood and it only cost me about $500.
Okay.
So anyway, I was side stage and they're like, you've won. And I'm standing there and there was still another act after mine. And he had a hanky on his head and he started singing about sandflies. And then he won by half a point.
Oh, yeah, you don't want to go first. Last will always come over the top.
but I was devastated because first prize was $1,000 and second prize was the game Pictionary, a Swatch watch, and a Paul Carrick record.
What?
That's what I won.
Oh my God, that changed later on. It used to be $500 for second. It was $1,000 for first, $500 second, then like $250 for third.
Yeah, no, it was when I went on. It was $1,000 for first, and then prizes for second. I don't know if he got anything for third, but I lost by half a point. I was devastated.
Oh my God! So we're going to play that on our socials. And did you talk to Daryl or any of the big names at all? Like apart from being on the show?
I can't remember having a big conversation with him afterwards. Like it was just mainly on air, but I can't really remember afterwards. I just remember being really upset.
Here's a question. Did you see anyone in the crowd who looked like Marilyn Monroe? That's a tough question. I'm going back over 30 years. But the reason I asked Kath is I just told a story before about, remember the Marilyn Monroe lady on the tram that I was telling you about?
Yeah, in Camberwell.
In Camberwell. Well, I've been trying to find her on the podcast and I found a lead here and she used to go and sit in the audience at Hey Hey.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
No, I don't really remember.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure we pre-recorded that afternoon and then we had like a Hey Hey party that night watching it.
What do you mean? The whole show was pre-recorded?
That Red Faces segment was pre-recorded, yeah, in the afternoon. And then that night we watched it. I remember going to my boyfriend's house and watching it. Yeah.
What?
Yeah,
Red Faces isn't live?
I don't remember it being live.
Oh, this is a big scoop. This is a big scoop, Kath. This is a big scoop.
I'm not getting anybody in trouble.
I'm sure it'll be fine. They're off the air in quite a big way.
Yeah.
Also, Daryl's got more pressing issues. Some of those jokes are incredibly problematic, and we are sharing those on our Patreon.
To me?
Well, yeah. What about that joke that the cum joke that fucking John Blackman said about you?
What?
It says that you came off in Daryl's hand. Did you not see that? There's a joke. There's a very dirty.
How many times did you watch
I watched it once, and there's a filthy joke from John Blackman about you. Filth.
Really?
Oh my God, yeah. I'm going to play it right now.
Has she come off in your hand, Daryl?
But Kath, we'll touch base next week. All right.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, Dale.
Okay. Great. Okay.
Thank you for answering.
Yeah. No worries.
You did well. You did well.
Thanks.
Bye, babe.
Bye. Bye.
Let's get into the show. I've got a brand new segment called Finish This Joke. All right? It's better when you play with someone else. Okay, I'm going to play it with you. And you need to be honest when you guess the ending of the joke. All right? And the person who guesses the ending of the joke the earliest wins a prize, be it a T-shirt or a mug or whatever. Okay? Now, this is the way it works. I'm going to read out a joke that my dad emailed me, and you've got to try and guess the ending of the joke. All right? A brand new segment to the Ash Williams Show called Finish This Joke. Remember, you're playing, so you've got to try and get the punchline as early as possible. All right, here we go. A guy named Anthony was feeling terribly sick, so he decided to go to the doctor. The doctor checks him over and says, "Sorry, Anthony, I have some really bad news for you. You have yellow 24, a really nasty virus, which makes COVID-19 look like a sniffle. It's called yellow 24 because it turns your blood yellow and you only have 24 hours to live. There's no known cure, so go home and enjoy your final 24 hours on Earth." So Anthony trudges home to his wife and breaks the news. Distraught, she asks Anthony to go to bingo because he's never been there before and he's about to die. So this is her last chance to get Anthony to bingo. I paraphrased that bit. They arrive at bingo, and with his first card, he gets 4 corners and wins $35. Then, with the same card, he gets a line and wins $320. Then he gets a full house and wins $5,000. Next, the national game comes up and he wins that too, winning $800,000. The bingo caller gets him up on stage and says, son, I've been here 25 years and I've never seen anyone win 4 corners, a line, the full house, and the national game on the same card. You must be the luckiest bastard on earth. Lucky, Anthony screamed out. Lucky? I'll have you know I've got yellow 24. Fuck me, says the bingo caller. You've won the meat raffle as well. One of the truly worst written jokes, if you would call it, in the history of jokes. There's so much fucking fat on that joke. So how did you go? How'd you go? I guessed it. I'll tell you when I guessed it next week. But there's a few red herrings in that joke that make you think it's going one way. And then it comes and really underwhelms you at the end. But look, there is a punchline. I'll give them that, whoever fucking wrote it. I'd say it was written in the 70s. But yeah, text in 0406 284 954. When did you guess the joke? That's a brand new segment to the Ash Williams Show. Finish this joke. Hey, Stu, can we get a sting to that? I've got so many of those fucking terrible jokes. My dad sends them to me like every 3 days, and he thinks I love them because I write back the template of that's funny. You know, on Gmail, they already have a pre-written response, and I just click the pre-written response of that's funny, so he thinks I love them. They're fucking terrible. That's my whole childhood, listening to like jokes, pretending they're funny to my dad. Like, I listened to some bloody terrible jokes. And my acting was on point after timing the laugh and then the reaction. Still do it to this day. I'm 38. Shout out to you, Dad. Hope you're well. All right, let's finish off the show. What have we got left? I've got a brand new Can't Say Who, okay? This is a ripper. Can't say who. We might even need a sting for that too, Stu. This involves an AFL footballer, all right? A premiership player. I can't say who it is, but this premiership player, his premiership teammate had a girlfriend for like 5 years, 6 years. Anyway, they break up, and then I can't say who slept with said ex-girlfriend within like a couple of weeks. I can't say who was then persona non grata at this AFL football club, so much so that he moved interstate and is still banished from the club in many regards. Who do you think that is? It's also not that old. He didn't retire that long ago. Premiership player. I can't say who. We're also doing a thing on Patreon for all of the I can't say who's. They're all going to be available. So get on there. While I have you for Patreon, I made some calls on the weekend to Patreons about Splendor in the Grass. And we had a wonderful chat and I got a lot of feedback. So starting next Tuesday on Patreon, we're doing a brand new Black Market Ash Williams show that will be released to Patreon exclusively every Tuesday. And this will be a very, very rough show. You know, if you think this is rough, hold on to your britches because I'm going to tell you more about behind the scenes deals, maybe some more relationship stuff because it's safer, and just more of a window into my life. So that's going to be every Tuesday on Patreon. Brand new stories as well. So get on board, patreon.com/Ash Williams Show. I want to give a shout out to Megan too from Patreon, who has been a wonderful supporter. Oh, actually, I got a message from Ria as well, who's a Patreon member, and she said, loving the pod, but can I please request less cum chat? So I'm going to try and acquiesce to that, Ria. But you should stop listening for the next 2 minutes because I do have a little bit of CUM stuff to cover off here. We did lose our only Patreon member on the foot tier over the week, which is incredibly sad. He lives in the UK. He doesn't listen to the podcast. But we were just about to do a deal because he was requesting an artistic foot pick. But for this artistic foot pick, my foot needed to be covered in cum. And the cum needed to be my own cum. And I was like, sure, happy to do it. You're a Patreon member, okay? You're at one of the top tiers. The least I can do is cum on my foot, which is incredibly tough to do. It's a great party trick if you can do it. But what I was going to do is make up a batch of fake cum and then just drench my foot with the fake cum. So I'm sad that we won't be doing that anymore, but you know what? In the spirit of show business, I think we're going to do it anyway. So I'll find a place for that. Wouldn't it just be flour and water? A friend of mine said, just get the custard from a jam donut. It looks like cum. So we've got lots of options. Anyway, Ria, if you're still there, come back, okay? The cum chat is gone. We've got a text here on the hotline, 0406 284 954. Ash Williams, do I have the scoop for you about Big Brother? I was chatting to a celebrity that is working on the show and got talking about this brand new version. So with there being an elimination every night on the show now, this seems to be a marketing stunt to draw more attention. It's nothing more than Channel 7 showing they are fucked for cash. The producers wanted a full series, but 7 could not provide. So they settled for the shortest season ever. Each episode costs about $250,000 to produce. Viewers will only be able to vote on the final 2 that have already been pre-selected. It's all been pre-recorded and nothing is properly raw like old school Big Brother. I'm extremely, in capitals, disappointed. It's all smoke and mirrors from your old mate Cobber. Now, I should say that that's all allegedly for our lawyers. But thank you very much, Cobber. All right. Shout out to Mike Goldman too, by the way, who's got a job on Big Brother. He's doing a spin-off show called Big Bro or something. I assume it has something to do with the show. It's not just him pretending to be the big bro of lonely kids and delinquents, like on The Simpsons when Bart tries to get a new dad. But if you remember the Brisbane live show, Mike Goldman made one of the most desperate pitches in show business history to the producers of Big Brother. Actually, let's play it now. Let's play Mike Goldman's pitch to the producers of Big Brother. And remember, this pitch resulted in a job.
Hi, I've looked at my calendar and it's as white as my ass. So I need to put my sunnies on to look at it. There's nothing on. I'm around. Call me.
Not enough in that.
Not enough? Okay. Well, if I wanted to be hardcore about it, so my voice has been on every single episode of Big Brother ever made. It's not really Big Brother without me.
Oh, I like that. There you go. That is show business. I'm not going to try Paul this week. I think we leave it. We tried last week. I also think he might be onto us. So we're going to leave Paul. I'm going to finish. I feel like this podcast is a bit light on. I'm going to finish with a story. This is something I wrote a long time ago. Okay. I was driving a hire car for a few months and realized I could make some money if I turned it into an Uber. My first customer was a mate who called me up wanting a lift. He was really drunk and asked if he could get a lift from Richmond to Frankston. I said, yeah, mate, that's going to cost you $10. But because he was so drunk, I said, you're not allowed to spew in my car because it's a hire car. For the record, if I owned my own car, spewing's allowed. He agreed if he could have a 5-minute nap on the street, he wouldn't spew. Red flag. After his nap, he gets in the car and took off his pants. And he was completely naked in the front seat. Then he took off his belt and started whipping the windscreen. The buckle hit the glass a few times and I said, look, mate, just be careful of the Nissan Micra windscreens. They're not built to withstand any contact. 5 minutes later, my mate spews everywhere. I pulled the car over and said, "You knew the rules. Spew fee is $250. He said, "That's fair enough." I drove him straight to an ATM and got out $250. Then I dropped him off at Frankston. Then it says, P.S. It's a good business model, driving your mates around in a hire car trying to make them spew. What are these stories? I found a whole bunch of them. They're just like, usually with a story you make edits. This is just first run. I'll do one more and then that's the pod. Some of these stories actually I might put on Patreon. Oh, here we go. We'll finish with Soap Manager, okay? 2014, Los Angeles. I was introduced to a manager who specialized in TV soapies. You know, Bold and the Beautiful, Days of Our Lives, that kind of thing. His name was Michael B, and he agreed to see me for an audition. If the audition went well, he could represent me, and I'd be a chance to get on Days of Our Lives. I arrived at his house in Hollywood Hills ready for the audition. It was a scene from Sleepless in Seattle. He said, "All right, come into my kitchen and take a seat." It was the first time I'd auditioned in somebody's kitchen. Michael said, "Are you ready?" I said, "Yep, where are the cameras?" He said, "No, I'm recording in my brain." He called action, and then out of nowhere, 2 small yappy dogs came running down the stairs. They looked like Cocker Spaniels, and they ran for my legs and started humping them, one each. I looked at Michael as if to say, "Do you want me to keep going?" He literally said, "Keep going." The dogs continued to root my legs and were making sex noises, like... I finally finished the audition and Michael said, "Stop it, you two." Then the dogs magically disappeared. Michael said, "You know what, Ash? That was great." I said, no, let's do it again because the dogs were humping my legs the whole time. He said, "No, I've seen enough, and I'm impressed with your focus. I'd like to represent you." I said, "Cool." Michael was now my manager, and I still don't know if he trained the dogs to hump my legs. I reckon he did. There we go. That's another story. I've actually got so many of those fucking stories. We got a voicemail here on the hotline.
Yo, Ash. Lewis here, Cat 500 member. I'm fired up. I'm using my international minutes to call you. Coming to you live from England. I'm in lockdown. I'm on the coronavirus front lines in the UK, and not much to do here. Been smashing out the episodes of your podcast, and I'm fucking fired up, I'll tell you that much. Just thought I'd drop by, say hi, and yeah.
Shout out to you, Lewis. Shout out. So shout out to Lewis in the UK. Fire up. +44. Love you wasting your international minutes on the show, and stay safe. That is the podcast. Thank you so much for listening. Of course, for brand new episodes of Ash and Ed, of course, a brand new episode with Mark Humphreys. Go to patreon.com/Ash Williams Show. The Mark Humphreys app is very, very loose and unedited, so you've been warned about that. Thanks for listening. I'll talk to you Tuesday for the Black Market Ash Williams Show. Otherwise, I'll talk to you Friday for the Ash Williams Show. Thanks for listening again. Have a good day. Stay safe. Bye-bye. The Ash Williams Show is recorded in front of a live studio audience. But due to coronavirus, there is no audience, so you can't hear the laughs.